Welcome to the Newtown Big Dreams podcast, an interview-style talk show that's your gateway to the fabulous and fascinating people who relocated to start a new life. Whether you're new to our podcast or your city, our fellow neighbors from across Canada, North America, and the entire English-speaking world share their stories of reaching new horizons and big dreams. So sit back and relax as we navigate in-depth and intimate conversations with entrepreneurs, thought leaders, executives, creatives, and anyone who can share their story about their Newtown big dreams. And now, here's your host, Luke J. Menkes.
So Jaide and Joel, you run a bakery, and you're good friends with Sean and Megan, who run the Renegade Food Truck. So, first of all, I want to ask you both. Well, first of all, I want to thank you both for coming in on a Sunday and taking a little time out of your very busy schedule to come on the show. Now, Jaide, you were basically born and raised in Kelowna.
Yeah.
You started in Osoyoos, right?
I was born in Kelowna. I lived in North Glenmore for about 5 years.
Okay.
After that, moved out to Oyama. Was there until I was 14, yeah. So most of my childhood was in Oyama.
Okay.
Loved it. And then when I was 14, I moved down back here to Kelowna and then been here ever since.
And what brought you here when you were 14?
Actually, my mother's boyfriend.
Right.
Yeah, we moved houses at the time. We went to go live with him, and we were right on really close to downtown, actually, along like a river. And then since then, we just liked being close to everything because Oyama's such a commute sometimes back and forth. So yeah, after that, we've moved to a few places since then around Vernon.
My daughter is 14 right now.
Okay.
Was it difficult moving as a 14-year-old? Like, did you have a lot of friends down?
It was, yeah. I grew up with everybody down there. You knew every bit on Oyama because it was so small. So it was quite difficult moving down here. But luckily, I stayed in the same high school as everyone, so I commuted out to Winfield every day for school. And then, actually, that's where Joel and I met. So then, because he lived in Kelowna at the time too, so we would just often carpool down there to school every day. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you met in high school.
Yeah, we met when we were 14.
High school sweethearts.
Nice. So you're a couple.
Yeah.
And business partners too.
Yeah.
So Joel, tell us, you came around the age of 14 as well.
Yeah, around
to Kelowna, but for a different reason.
Exactly. So back when I moved down here, I was playing hockey. So I landed a hockey at the Pursuit of Excellence. They offered me a full ride scholarship to attend the school and the hockey program.
Wow.
And so it was a big move for our family. First, my dad moved down here to get some work. Then after we followed along and we came down, my oldest sister, she stayed in Vancouver for a bit just because she liked it down there. And yeah, we made the full transition down here and stayed ever since.
Wow. Do you still play hockey?
Unfortunately not. So at the age of 16, I believe 16, it was, I had a little bit of a freak accident in practice where I tore my entire labrum, like my hip.
Oh,
and
wow. So that's like the tendons around your...
Exactly, yeah. So I lost the ability to be able to do like crossovers or like high-speed skating because I was one of the faster players.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Was it just bad ice? Like, did you just catch your skates? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. I was back checking. So it was just a drill where we had to chase one of the teammates back.
Yeah.
And so I was back checking, catching up to him, and he tripped. And I tripped over him, and my hip went from where it was positioned to pretty much up by my stomach.
Wow.
And it felt really awkward, and I kind of just got up, and the adrenaline was pumping, and I was like, oh my God, I don't feel right. And after like maybe 2 minutes, I just collapsed because I could no longer stand on it. And so they had to carry me up into the team physio, and they told me I had to go to the hospital, and then everything kind of went down.
Yeah. I'm just curious what that was like psychologically, because obviously hockey was a huge part of your life.
Definitely. Up
to that point. Was that fairly difficult to get over?
It was, yeah. It was honestly one of the hardest parts because for the first couple weeks I was on crutches.
Yeah.
And for about...
Were you still hopeful? Like you're recovering?
I was very hopeful because everyone told me like, there's a way I could come back to play. So I was really excited and like just really ambitious to get back on the ice. And after maybe 2 months of recovering, I begged them to let me go on the ice because, I mean, I loved it. I grew up playing, right?
Yeah.
And they told me, okay, you can go for light skating. Didn't listen. I went into a drill and I was just doing like another crossover, and I did one crossover and that was it. I tore it again and that was it. I was probably in a wheelchair for about a week.
Wow.
And then crutches again, and then was never able to play again.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Like psychologically, it was a big defeat for me.
Mm-hmm.
I went through
on you.
I went through like a lot of depression,
mm-hmm.
A lot of regret, but luckily I had Jaide in my life.
Nice.
So she brought me back to everything, and yeah.
That's nice. You know, when our identity is tied up with a thing, and then we lose that thing. You know, in my interview, I was talking about how I've always been involved in real estate
mm-hmm.
since I was pretty young. And about 6-7 years ago now, I went through a foreclosure. I had a property and I was developing it and I was making it beautiful, and things went badly and I lost the entire thing. So that was, you know, mentally it was like my identity was real estate, you know, and I felt like kind of a failure, even though a lot of it was out of my control, you know, it was just freak accidents and things that happen, but
you kind of lose yourself.
Can take a while to mentally get over that and find yourself again. So, really interesting story. So you guys started dating in high school. How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 21.
I'm 20, turning 21 soon.
Okay. So were you in the same classes?
Actually,
or just in the same social group?
Actually, no, not even both. The story's actually kind of funny. I was sitting in English class, and the door was open, and I was kind of just like bored out of my mind because I hated English. I was the worst. That was my worst subject.
He went to French immersion, so his English was
I grew up learning French, and then the transition to English, I was just like bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
So I was just looking around, and I saw this girl sitting on this bench, and I was like, wow, she's really pretty. And I was like, wow. And something just came over me, and I put my hand up, and I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. So she let me go, and I walked out, and I just couldn't stop myself from just walking over to this girl on this bench that was just gorgeous. And I walked over to her, and I just said, are you Jaide? And from there on, we've just...
How did you know her name?
My friend was into her.
Oh.
Yeah, and my friend was into him.
So Is that funny?
That was kind of...
Are you still friends with those people?
Yeah, she was my best friend.
Yeah,
so.
My friend moved back to Australia, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know, hopefully he's over it.
Yeah.
That was a long time. So, you have a vegan and gluten-free bakery.
Yeah.
First of all, have you always been into baking? Or is this something...
I have, yeah. I've baked,
since as a kid?
Yeah, baked my whole life.
Right.
Like my sisters and I always baked everything. I loved it.
Yeah.
Never ever thought I would have my own bakery, or someone would like buy our products. That you just make at home. You make them for fun, and then someone, it's cool to just see people eating it and they love it, and you're like, I can't believe they love something I made. That's so crazy. And
did you bring any samples?
I didn't.
No, sadly, we should.
I gotta tell Kara because we've had like wine makers and cider makers and. So I'm like, get them to bring samples.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay.
But
we'll
next time.
We'll drop some
no
off.
problem. So Joel, how did you go from being hockey to baking?
It was actually kind of quite a weird journey for me. My sister, she owned her own like little baking company for about like 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So she started that about like when I was 11. Maybe 12, and she started doing the markets, and she started getting into it, but she never did like any like vegan or celiac friendly baking. She just did regular baking,
right?
And so usually I'd help her out in the kitchen, and I like creating stuff. So as my hockey career ended, Jaide helped me focus on school, so I started attending. After we graduated, I got a bursary and went to University of British Columbia, and I did about 2 years of science.
Right.
and I loved the science, and I got a research job on my first year with genetics, like a genetics lab. And I absolutely loved it. I love learning. I love creating. I love all that kind of stuff. So after my sister said that she wanted to hang up the mantle of her little bakery, I decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. I want to make it gluten-free. And so that's how I pretty much started. And
interesting.
Jade joined me, and she was just, we joined each other, and she was just like, let's make it gluten-free and vegan, because there's nothing that's vegan and gluten-free.
Yeah.
And we're like, that's a great idea. And so that's
how long ago did you start the bakery?
Actually, maybe a year, exactly a year ago.
Last April. So
wow.
Yeah, about a year in now.
So I'm guessing, Jade, when he told you, I want to take over this bakery, you were like, yeah, sure. Because you're baking all the time? Or were you like...
well, I was kind of just like, what? You want to what? Because it was so out of the blue. And then, I don't know, it kind of made sense. And I was like, yeah, well, I've been like baking, and I was baking a lot for him because he has celiac disease. And at that time, a year ago, it was still really hard to find stuff. So I'd always be baking at home for him and trying new stuff. And then he's like, you should sell us. Like, we should sell us. And I'm like, I guess, yeah, let's try it out. And then, we tried out. Our first market was in Penticton. Yeah. Went really well. We were super excited.
So you went to like a farmer's market.
Exactly.
Yeah. Some indoor market.
We kind of like joined my mom because my mom was going to continue my sister's baking for a little bit.
And so just had a little spot on her table.
Yeah. Give us a little spot. We want to try some stuff out.
Yeah. And the response was really good.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. And then from there, we just continued under his sister Rachel's business. And then after that, we started really enjoying it. Let's do this thing. Like, let's make it our own. So, got our own name, got our own business number, everything. And started from there. And then a couple months in, we tried doing donuts, and that was the most popular thing. Yeah. And so we said, okay, let's mainstream these donuts. Like, let's really make them good, and let's get them out there. And from there, we've just been doing donuts and wholesaling. And
very cool. So I want to ask you about the business side of it, but tell us a little bit about celiac disease for people who don't know. Yeah. What is it? What causes it? And when did you first realize that you had it?
Yeah, so celiac disease is pretty much, it's when you are allergic to the protein in wheat. It's the gluten. Yeah. And once you ingest it, your body believes it's like some type of virus or some wrong thing that's not supposed to be there. So your body creates like, it pretty much, it's really painful because you can't digest it. So it kind of like leaks through your gut, and your body kind of destroys your like microvilli and villi, which are the things that absorb the nutrients. Mm-hmm. So, it's pretty much what celiac disease is. Mm-hmm. Also with celiac disease, some other people are like even more allergic. For me, if there is flour in the room, I get these like hives on my arms. Wow. I get all fuzzy. I get headaches, migraines. I get dizzy. Just like I'm super sensitive to flour. So whenever I walk into like somewhere that someone's been baking, I just instantly like, I got to get out of there.
Yeah. Was this something you had through childhood, or was it something you noticed later?
I've been celiac for about 11 years. So,
it's something that you could develop. Like you're not necessarily born with it.
I don't think there's any cause.
I wasn't born with it. Born with it, but something happened to me when I was 10 years old. I got the H1N1 virus, the swine flu. Oh, wow. And they gave me like they gave me the vaccine for it. And after they gave me that vaccine, I caught the swine flu. I don't know what happened. And then from there, I had 3 immune system failures, and I was in and out of the hospital for months on end. And I lost a lot of weight. I was pretty much skin and bones. For 8 months, I was just eating soups because that's all I could handle in my stomach. They said that my intestines were completely obliterated and I couldn't absorb any nutrients. So I had to go every 2 days for intravenous's of like fluids, like vitamins, minerals, B12 shots, all this different type of stuff. And at the end of it, like with 2 years or maybe a year after all this happened, they finally diagnosed me with celiac disease, IBS, and they thought I had Crohn's as well.
Right.
So my entire diet was completely just changed from eating what I used to eat, because before then I was eating like 2 boxes of cookies, milk, everything I could get my hands on.
Wow.
But after this, just it just completely eliminated everything. And all I could eat was just like rice and chicken, rice and, just rice and chicken was my main meals all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely had like another mental toll on me too. Like I dealt with a lot of depression then and a lot of anxiety, and I was in and out of school, really didn't have any friends. I was kind of not sociable, wasn't all there all the time, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's quite the story.
Yeah.
So when it comes to baking, Jade, was it a big adjustment for you to make things gluten-free that were just as delicious as before? So tell us a little bit about baking. Why is gluten even necessary? I know there's a fair amount of people that have an issue. Most not as severe as you have, I don't think. But a lot of people are sensitive to it. And they say they eat gluten, it gives them bloated. They feel bloated, lethargic, and so forth. So it is an issue. What is it with baking that makes people think it's necessary to have the gluten?
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult at first to bake gluten-free because you don't really know. I mean, you use all-purpose flour all your life. And you're like, what do I use now?
Right.
So
that's like the base.
That's the base thing, yeah. Gluten makes everything, is the texture of everything. It makes it like cakey, spongy.
The reason for gluten in the products is the elasticity. It's like an elastic band, so you can stretch it without breaking. It's the protein that holds everything together.
So like a cake, it doesn't just turn into a million
it doesn't
crumbs.
Crumble. Yeah, so baking gluten-free was difficult, but at a similar time, actually, like I got my allergies tested, I found out I was allergic to gluten and wheat as well. So I was like, okay, well, you're celiac. I was sensitive to it, not anywhere to the degree of him, but I was like, it was really hard for him still at the time. So I'm like, I'm going to cut it out too, and we're going to do it together, and we're going to just make it easy. So yeah, I spent a lot of time like trial and error with recipes, different flour mixes, and like making it vegan too, which is difficult because
vegan cook with you're avoiding dairy and eggs.
Dairy, eggs, animal products, gluten, wheat, all of that.
Maybe let's talk about that for a second. You're both vegan?
I'm vegan.
I'm vegan, but due to my allergies, because I'm allergic to probably half the things in the world.
Yeah, like lentils, soybeans.
I try my best to be vegan, but most of the times I have to have a little bit more protein in my diet.
Right. So you have seafood?
I mainly eat chicken.
Okay.
That's the only type of meat that I eat, but I limit it to like maybe once every 2 days, once every 4 days.
It's a survival thing.
Exactly.
Is veganism, for the two of you, an ethical thing? Or is it a dietary thing? Like, what is the reason?
Yeah, for me, it's ethical. I grew up vegetarian. I think at the age of 10, I ate meat for about a year, and it was only white meat. And my mom raised us vegetarian, my dad wasn't. And she gave us a choice when we're older. She let us know where it came from. She was very clear about it. And she said, if you want to eat meat, it's your choice. Tried it. I did not like it.
Right.
I felt guilty every time I was eating it. And after that, and maybe a year I ate it, I just said, no, I'm not doing this. Since then, I've been vegan. Just a big ethical thing to me. I'm a huge animal supporter.
I want to ask you, do you feel that there's a possible way to ethically treat animals and get things like dairy products and eggs and honey from bees without abusing the animals? Is that possible, or is it out of the question for you?
That's a good question, because I actually I did grow up on a chicken farm, and we did sell eggs, and I didn't think much of it then, but we weren't harming them in any way.
Yeah. I know a lot of these factory farms are just horrific.
They are.
The way they treat these animals is horrible.
In any way, I don't support anything of animal byproducts because I just don't think we need them in our diet to survive. We don't need a cow's milk, We're the only mammal on Earth that drinks another mammal's milk.
That's true.
That's crazy. We grew out of it. We don't need milk anymore, so why? Yeah. Anyway. But just for me, at all, we don't need it. But I know that asking the entire world to go vegan isn't really a realistic goal. I think the biggest thing that we could ask people to do is to just reduce it. Start eliminating things that you don't need, like red meat. I know you started eliminating red meat, and then maybe dairy, and then, go down from there. But I think, like the smaller farms, they do it ethically. I still don't really agree with it, but the fact that they're doing it ethically is still a big step. These big manufacturers, I don't know for sure if they're not, but I can make a big guess that they're probably not doing it as ethically as possible.
Yeah, the big manufacturers, they just see it as a product.
It's not a life to them. It's
the small-time farmers,
product.
They see it as their livelihood, and they need to treat them with the utmost respect.
And for that, we can't get mad at them and be harsh to them for it. It's their livelihood. We can't attack that, but the bigger industries who are pumping these animals full of chemicals and hormones, like that, to me is just it's
totally
sickening.
horrible. Totally horrible. And I know even from a dietary perspective, when the animals are mistreated, the product is not as healthy.
No.
Exactly.
Because they have stress hormones and everything else. But anyways, I don't want to get too deep into that. But I'm always curious, to understand how people think and why. So obviously, we've got to eat, and most humans love baking.
Yeah.
So if we're taking the dairy products out of it, and we're taking the gluten out of it, does it taste just as good? In your opinion?
In our opinion, I think we make it taste pretty damn well.
Yeah.
We have, we've had like customers, like a lot, where they have bought our product without even knowing that it's vegan and gluten free, and they just can't believe it.
Yeah. They later find out it is. They're like, what? It was?
Yeah. Well, I had my first veggie burger from Renegade Food Truck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it had like bacon in quotes, cheese in quotes.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like it was as good as any actual burger that I've ever had.
Yeah. And I think something about us is like, I know what regular baking tastes like. I know what the gluten tastes like. I know what it tastes like with eggs and dairy in it and butter. Like, I know it tastes good. So when I'm making my stuff and when we're baking, we are so critical about what we're baking that we don't put it out to the public unless it's like perfect and you can barely tell the difference. Like the texture's got to be there. It's got to be fluffy. Like it's got to be like soft.
We utilize, I utilize a lot of science to try and figure out how to make these recipes. Like I spent 5 months figuring out a deep fried, vegan, gluten-free, nut-free donut. And it was really close to the real thing. We had our families and some people trying them out, and they just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So we do we do a lot of research into trying to figure out what will replace what can taste like what. So.
Is there a product that replaces gluten for the stretchiness? Or is it a combination?
It's a combination.
Yeah.
So they haven't been able to find something that can replicate gluten because gluten is just so rare. It's like the elastic band of food.
Right.
It's crazy.
But like we use xanthan gum or like guar gum or something, and it creates a similar texture. Depending on how much you use, you gotta be very careful.
Well, you have to mix the xanthan gum with different protein flours like brown rice or sorghum or like buckwheat, because they all have protein. So you need that protein and you need that xanthan and guar gum in order to try and replicate that gluten. But I was doing a little research the other night, and I found that some scientists have actually found something that's pretty close to gluten, which is something called zein. And it's from corn. And it's almost able to replicate exactly what gluten does. And so they're just doing a little more research before they can bring it out.
Very cool. Very cool. Just lost my train of thought. That's why we have editing.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Well, so tell us a bit about the business. I mean, everybody would buy something that tastes great. Whether they understand about factory farming or, the disadvantages of gluten. Oh, yeah. What I was going to ask you was, do you think gluten sensitivity is something that is increased? So, for example, I noticed when I was a kid, we used to bring peanuts to school in our lunch. We had peanut butter sandwiches. Now you can't bring nuts because there's kids that will get completely violently ill.
Yeah,
and to me, it's something that didn't exist.
Yeah.
It's like increased
Before.
through the years.
And gluten to me seems like something like that. Like I never heard of that before, but in the last 10 to 20 years, we see it all the time.
Yeah.
You think it's like an environmental thing, like all the chemicals and crap that's in the air and in the beef and everything is causing us to be more sensitive.
Yeah.
Like, what is it about gluten that
I feel
makes
like
it hard
maybe
to deal with?
the way that they
the way that they farm gluten now, so
It's different.
Yeah, like if you
Because baking, it's like thousands of years people have been baking.
Yeah.
Well,
So
if you think about like the corn industry and the wheat industry, they constantly have to produce so much of it that if you were to go with like a natural pesticide, it's impossible to cover all your crops. So they're spraying, like even on our own vegetables, like all our vegetables and all our fruit products, they all have like 7 to 8 different pesticides on them. No matter how much you wash it, there will still be pesticides left on it.
It goes into the flesh,
And if you see what those pesticides actually do to like insects, it's crazy. It actually like melts their stomachs. They literally melt within and die. The ants and any pests. And so imagine eating that crop on a human scale, right? That's a lot of chemicals going into us, and that's obviously a big reason to why we're sensitive.
I've talked to a lot of people who are allergic to gluten or sensitive to it. They can't eat it here, but they go over to Europe and they can, and it's different. And I think it's because of the way that they
have more rules. Yeah.
They produce it or crop it or farm it or something over there. Maybe they don't use as many pesticides or chemicals on it. Whereas I think here, maybe they're using more, and maybe that's why we're getting more sensitive to it. Like I know my sister, for example, she is sensitive to gluten. Again, can't eat it here. She went to Europe like 2 years ago. She's having bread every day. She's loving it. But
interesting. Has the chemical or thing called gluten, has that changed over time?
Yeah. It's been...
Is it different than it was like 500 years ago?
Definitely. It's been heavily genetically modified. Like all our crops have been genetically modified to grow more, grow bigger, grow better. And not only that too, like, I was reading about, because I love to learn. I like to just grab all this information and soak it in.
Right.
So I was learning about strawberries, and it's actually crazy that strawberries can grow in the winter. They have taken out fish DNA from the fish that survive in the winters, and they have put it into strawberries, so strawberries can grow in the winter. And it's just unbelievable. And they do, imagine like what other things they can do to our fruits, right? Some fruits don't even have seeds because we genetically modified them because we don't like seeds. We don't like to get the watermelon seeds in our teeth, right? So it's just, the wheat back then was so much more pure than the wheat that we have today.
I see.
Yeah, and it keeps changing because our environment's changing, climate change, everything.
Yeah. So tell us about the business. Some of the challenges you faced when you opened it. So you were taking, if I understood you correctly, you were taking over a business that already existed.
Yeah.
Was it your sister? Your sister?
It was my sister. Yeah.
And what was the reason she wanted to get out of it?
She kind of had a hard time with the business. She had some personal issues going on. She'd recently gotten out of a relationship, and it kind of had a mental toll on her. So she kind of wanted to...
Just wanted to change,
She wanted to
something
change,
a little
mix it
different.
up.
She'd been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. Business is tough,
It is tough.
Like, people always say, well, I ask them, why do you want to have your own business? They say things like, well, I have more free time. And I say, you know what? The best thing about owning your own business is you get to decide which 18 hours a day you're going to work.
Yeah.
You get to pick the 18 hours, right? But it's a bit of an exaggeration, hopefully. But it's what surprised you the most about it? Was it the hours? Was it the recipes? The difficulty of coming up with great recipes? Like what was the biggest challenge that surprised you?
I feel like the legalities of everything. I think we didn't know. Because neither of us have gone to school for it. We haven't gone to school for baking or for business. So we just kind of went to it blind. Like, let's just wing it. Like, let's just do it.
Just bake some stuff.
Yeah. Like, we're good at baking. We like it. But then, when you start to figure out, the permits, the licenses, the insurance, the names, the GST numbers, like, figuring out all that stuff, like bookkeeping and everything. Like, it was a lot, and I don't think we realized how much it was. Thankfully, my mom has her own bookkeeping business, so she was very, very helpful to us at that time.
It's one of the most important things, but also one of the most tedious things, especially if you're creative-minded.
Yeah, and a lot of, like, administrative work. A lot of it, a lot of math going into your pricing. You know, figure out how to hire, like, we're at the part where, you know, we got to figure out how to hire somebody now. And then you got to deal with, you know, CPP and EI and payroll and all that. And that's a whole nother thing that you need to learn and to figure out. And, you know, you want to do it properly. Yeah,
totally. It's a big difference. When I was running a bar in Nelson, before that, I used to throw parties and we'd have DJs come over to the house and, you know, we'd either charge a fee or get you to bring your own bottle of booze. And it was great. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
But running a bar was completely different. I mean, the amount of rules and the police were in there all the time. The fire chief was in there all the time because of crowding.
Yeah.
The liquor inspector was in there all the time. You couldn't drink and party with the people. There was, you know.
Yeah, a lot of rules. That you don't
payroll
realize.
and GST. And all this crap. And it's like, this is not, we're not partying anymore now. We're doing administrative work. But, so tell us about how do you get clients? Is it word of mouth?
I would say, like,
or do you do a lot of advertising?
We actually don't do any advertising. It's actually kind of crazy. We just believe that, like, if our product's good enough, people will talk about it.
That's right. And they'll come back.
And they'll come back. So we really believe in just giving out what we think is, like, our best tasting stuff, and people will come back, they'll talk, and just grow, like.
How we got our wholesale clients, I mean, we literally just walk in the door. Can I talk to the manager?
Right, because they tried it, or someone told them about it? Is that...
like, one thing for me is that I don't really have that much fear.
Right.
I don't have, like, I'll literally walk into a shop and I'll be like, can I talk to your manager? I want to speak to them because I want to like tell them about our product.
He's very outgoing. He's like walked into a store the other day. He's like, "Do you guys want our donuts? Could you sell our donuts here?" And I'm just looking at him like, "You just said that? Like, you just went out and did that already?" I'm like, "Okay."
Well,
that's awesome.
The way that we landed actually the Nature's Fair, was they actually called us and they wanted us to do an event for them for their 25-year anniversary. And they wanted us to make, like, little cupcakes. And so we made the little cupcakes and we dropped them off and everything. And that was pretty much it. And I went the next day to go pick up our containers, and something just clicked in me. And I was like, I turned around and I was like, do you mind if I talk to your manager? And they're like, sure. So he came out and I told him, we're a baking company. We do donuts and I really want to sell your donuts here. He was like, sure. I'll just talk to the corporate bistro manager and we'll get meetings set up. And it just...
from there.
Awesome.
Took off.
So you, every morning or a couple times a week, you bring in trays of stuff?
Every morning.
Every morning. Wow.
So our stuff is best fresh. That's how we sell it. We like to sell it that way. So every morning we're in the kitchen at 4 a.m. We're baking till 8 for all our stores, and then we go out and deliver it to Vernon or Penticton, and we come home, do admin work. But
So do you still have a retail location where people come in, or is it all wholesale now?
It's all wholesale still, but coming pretty soon, we're going to have our first pop-up retail location, like permanent spot. So that's going to be pretty fun. Exciting.
Have you contemplated that? Like, maybe... as far as making money, which is important because you want to keep it going.
Yeah.
You know. But maybe as far as making money, the wholesale is a lot more efficient. What do you think? Have you thought about that?
I like the wholesale because it's a steady income coming in. And I'm very like a safety person. I'm like, I need to know what's coming in.
So you're bringing 20 donuts instead of putting out 20 donuts and hoping that you get enough people
so this is like a guaranteed income. Every month I know what's coming in. I know what we can spend and what we can afford. Whereas markets were great at first because it got our name out there. And like we got to talk to so many people and meet people face to face and create a relationship with clients so that they know us. I think that was a really big part of why we are where we are right now. But again, with the markets, you don't really know what's going to happen. It could be a hit or it could be a miss. You know, you could bring a lot and you could sell nothing. You could be a little bit and sell out and wish you'd brought more. So it's a very like an unsteady way to do business, and I'm like, I need security. Like, I gotta know.
Yeah, Sean told me that was his biggest challenge because they don't want to waste food.
Exactly.
And they hate it when there's still a lineup and they've run out of something. So it's like, how do you?
Well, and for us, our products are good for 2 days, and then they're not good anymore. They're stale and like they're not tasty, and you gotta throw them out. And I really don't like throwing out food, and like especially when you spend so much time and effort and ingredients making all that, and then to go bad. And,
totally. I worked at Mike's Products for a while, and that was really intense. We had to handle every single vegetable and every single piece of fruit every single day. We had to inspect it, and then we had different levels. So if it started to get wrinkly, put it on the reduced tray. We still sell it, but we cut the price. And then past that, we would give it to 2 groups of people. So the gospel mission would take stuff, and it's still great, but it might have a bruise on it, but it's still perfectly good. And then there were local farmers that would feed some of the trimmings and stuff to their rabbits and goats and stuff like that. So we had almost zero waste. Like we tried to, find places to put it when it wasn't 100% fresh, but it was still usable. So I don't know if you get.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about the other day, because if we do 2-day markets, we have donuts left over from the first day, we'll discount them the second day and sell like day-old donuts. But we're just talking about if we ever have a market and we have a lot of extra, we're baking in the morning with a lot of extra, we want to donate it somewhere. We're just talking about places where we could possibly donate it. And it doesn't go to waste and someone gets to enjoy it.
Have you always got up at 4 a.m?
No.
Yeah, I have.
You have for hockey for sure.
Our days at I remember back in like our days at Pursuit, or even like when I was living in Richmond, they always started at 5 a.m. And we practice and then go to school and then come back and practice again, and just a lot of working.
So where is your bakery? Is it in your house, or how do you?
We rent a commercial kitchen. It's called Sage Common Kitchen, just on Jersey.
Okay. So do multiple outfits use the same kitchen?
Yeah.
So you've got a time slot?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so we just book our times previous week. And
that's pretty cool.
The owner, her name's Betty, and she's honestly the most amazing person we ever met. She's helped us grow our business. And
how has she helped you specifically?
She's actually one day she approached us and she saw a lot of potential, and she said like, come bake out of our kitchen and you can sell your stuff at my store. And we were like, let's do it. So we ended up joining her, and she gave us like there was a lot of fees that you'd have to pay. And so we ended up trading donuts for those fees, and she would sell the donuts. So she gave us an opportunity, and we did our best to capitalize on it.
She gave us a lot of advice. She's a businesswoman herself, so she'd always be there.
So try this product, try this quantity.
She was very helpful.
Very nice. That's a really interesting concept. I'm really fascinated by the concept of like co-working space and shared space. Because we spend so much in property taxes and electricity and natural gas, and using up so many resources for spaces that are 75% idle. Right. The collab, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's mostly tech companies, but they also have artists, interior designers, and architect work out of there. They share the space. So you have private space, shared space, shared computers, shared boardrooms, shared coffee, and events, a lot of events where you can have a coffee or someone will give a little seminar. And that's mostly tech related, but I just love the idea of like even a kitchen where different people making different products can use the same stuff instead of it collecting dust 50 hours a day.
Exactly. I think cool. It's nice too because we're in there so early, so we normally don't have an issue, bumping into another person or scheduling.
Right.
No one wants to be in there that
How do you like getting up that early?
I'm not a morning person. I've started to get used to it now, but I'd still roll up in my sweatpants and I'm like, okay, let's go like half asleep.
I've always winter is not for you because you hockey is mostly winter, but winter is probably a little harder.
Yeah.
When I was delivering newspapers, the winter time was the hardest.
It is. It's so dark.
It's pitch
out.
black and it's
Yeah.
cold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You
Your
don't
bed
want to
is
get out
just
of bed.
so
Yeah, so warm and you're so comfy.
Like waking up like it's 3 a.m. and it's freezing and I'm like everyone else is asleep.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, that's a great story. I really appreciate both of your time. And I learned a little bit about celiac disease and gluten and baking and also business. You know, I'm always interested to hear from young entrepreneurs and what you're going through.
Yeah.
And how you're making a success of it. So what's the best thing for someone to do if they want to try one of your donuts? Should they go to Nature's Fair?
Yeah.
You can go, on... Well,
Depends what days, yeah.
Depends
Feel
what
like
day.
message us first and we'll send you like a list of where we are.
Do you have
each day.
a Facebook page? Or
I do,
Instagram?
yeah. On our Facebook page, there's a little like about us section.
Yeah.
And it tells you like what days we're at which store. And that would be the place to go.
Okay. So in the show notes, we have links and they're tappable. So if someone's on a treadmill or if they're driving, they want to write something down, we'll have like your Facebook page and someone can just tap on it and it'll take you right to the page. So
Nice.
Awesome. Well, last question. Who would you like to nominate to come on the show? And the criteria is you have to have some connection to Kelowna.
Right.
You have to be able to say, I love Kelowna.
Yeah.
Honestly. And someone that you would like to hear from. So if you happen to be driving, you were listening to my show, who's someone you'd like to hear from? Now, it could be someone you know well or someone you never met before, but someone that you would enjoy listening to on this show. That's the only criteria.
I think someone fascinating to learn from would be Jay.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, Jay from Farmbound.
Farmbound Zero Waste. It's a new grocery store downtown. It's a complete zero waste grocery store. It's amazing.
Yeah. She also helped our business. We were looking into getting a space at the mall to open up our first retail location. Yeah. And she just gave us so much advice and it showed us that we were not ready at all. So,
I think she'd be a fantastic one.
Definitely.
And then I think Heather, I can't remember her last name, but she is from Arion Therapeutic Farms.
Okay.
She is another fantastic person. The farm there, they take in like abused or unwanted animals, farm animals. They have like, pigs, lots of horses, and they also do like therapeutic work for children and stuff too. She's really fantastic. She's doing like such an amazing thing.
I don't know if you heard the story about the 3 calves or was it the 3 calves? There was 3 calves that the farmer had to change a heart and didn't want to
take them to the
slaughterhouse. So they ended up giving these 3 calves up, and Arion adopted one of them and have been just helping
get back on its feet and getting a good place to live. And
he's so cute.
Cool.
You can watch him on Instagram. He's so cute.
You can go out there for the day and they'll take you on a tour and tell you about all the animals, where they came from. You get to interact with them. Like, it's a really great place.
It sounds like a great thing for my kids too.
It's fantastic.
We actually want to plan some events there so we can help educate people about the
veganism, and if they're curious about it.
Just in a supportive way. Yeah.
Nice. I was delivering flowers not too long ago, and I come to the store and there's like 6 dogs come up. And this big guy comes out and he's like, don't worry, they're very friendly. But it was a lady, it was her 85th birthday or something, was getting the flowers. And he said, we bring these dogs to seniors to interact with them.
Aww.
And she loves dogs, so she said, I want 5, so we brought 5. But they can bring 1, or cats or whatever. But that's pretty cool. I think it's really great to interact with nature as much as we can.
Yeah, at UBC they have that at UBC
room
the puppy room. It's actually really it's really
Kids
cute.
Kids are stressed, they just go into a room with puppies.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you both so much for your time.
Thank you for interviewing us.
Having us on the show and
Very welcome.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Newtown Big Dreams podcast with your host, Luke Menkes, and his authentic guests. And we love our listeners and hope you subscribe now to learn more about the amazing journeys of our incredible guests who relocated to find a new town, big dreams. And remember, make your dreams big.